Good afternoon. I wanted to give you an update on our preparations for the landfall of Hurricane Sandy here in Greater New Bedford. Let me tell you what we know based on reports from the National Weather Service. So according to the National Weather Service, the South Coast area, that is the area from Fairhaven to Westport, Mass, will see over the course of the day tomorrow and Monday and Tuesday a storm surge that ranges from 3 to 6 feet. That's down from 6 to 8 feet earlier in the day. So it's at least the best information right now is that the storm is moving a little more to the west than what had been thought even as recently as yesterday. We will deal with tides at high tides every 12 hours. These tides will be somewhat large because of the full moon. So we'll have a high tide tonight, then again tomorrow at roughly 8 to 8:30, and then again on Monday night at around 8:30 or so. Rain will be consistent, about 1 to 3 inches on each day. Looking at sustained winds of 40 to 50 miles per hour with gusts ranging up to 80 miles per hour. So that is the latest. We will update everyone tomorrow, and we are in constant contact with both the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency as well as the National Weather Service in Taunton. Let me say a couple of things up front before I get into preparations. This is a storm that we have to take seriously. It is a very large storm. It won't be a direct hit on the city of New Bedford, but that said, it is a large enough storm that such that it will have a very conspicuous impact on the city of New Bedford, and we need to prepare for that. Nobody should panic. This is something that we here in New Bedford have dealt with before, but as we know, based on storms that have gone back in the last 20 or 30 years or so, we have to treat these things seriously because at a minimum, there can be extensive property damage, and we certainly have to, above all, look out for the well-being of everyone, especially senior citizens. So let me tell you about the steps that we have taken to prepare for the storm. First of all, I have signed an order declaring a local state of emergency here in the city of New Bedford. A hurricane barrier to our harbor, which is a key closure point to secure the safety of the harbor, will close at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. We have asked everyone to continue to get their boats out of the water. Recreational boats in particular have been coming out of the water rapidly and are continuing to do so. We want to make sure that we get boats out not only to secure people but also to secure the boats themselves as well as other boats that might collide with those boats. Our fishing fleet has been streaming in back to the harbor over the last couple of days. They continue to come in. The hurricane barrier street gates, of which there are 3 in low-lying areas in the south end of the city, will be closed depending on conditions. We'll make an assessment as the day goes on tomorrow whether they need to be closed. There is not going to be a mandatory evacuation of low-lying areas. That said, and I want to be very clear about this, I strongly encourage people living in low-lying areas in the south end of the city, that is along Paid-Niram Avenue, as well as East and West Rodney French boulevards, to evacuate. This is something that is voluntary but highly recommended. And we have established a shelter at Keith Middle School in the west end of the city that will be open tonight at 8 p.m. I would, again, strongly encourage people to evacuate because you just don't know. We don't know whether how much flooding might take place along those areas, along Paid-Niram Avenue as well as East and West Rodney French boulevards. Given the confluence of the uncertain confluence of tides and the storm surge themselves. Again, we're looking at 3 to 6 feet, but those are low-lying areas, so we do want to make sure that people are safe there. If people need transportation, from their locations to Keith Middle School, they should call the non-emergency number of the police department, which I will give right now. That number is 508-991-6350. Actually, that's the down tree line. Where's David? That's the right one. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, I will tell one other thing that is important for a number of people is that this is a pet-friendly shelter. In other words, pets are allowed. I know a lot of people are reluctant to leave their homes without their pets, but I just want people to know that you can leave, you can bring your pet with you to the shelter. We will also be opening up a shelter starting tomorrow morning at the Pilgrim Church on Pleasant Street. Again, that, as I understand it, that one also is pet-friendly. In the event that we need more shelter space, we will rely on the regional Red Cross shelters in southeastern Massachusetts, and we will transport, if this is necessary, transport people from Keith Middle School to those regional shelters. At this time, we don't anticipate that need will arise, but we're prepared in case it does. The police will be manning checkpoints in the south end of the city to direct people away from entering the south end of the city unless absolutely necessary. Tomorrow, schools in New Bedford, the New Bedford Public Schools, will be closed. School will be closed at Greater New Bedford Regional Vocational Technical High School as well. Whether schools will be closed on Tuesday remains to be seen. We will have an update tomorrow and let people know whether school will also be closed then. So we'll wait and see on that. But for tomorrow, again, school will be closed on Monday, tomorrow. City offices as well will be closed. So city offices, including City Hall, the zoo, senior centers, and the Council on Aging will all be closed, as well as the library. Essential personnel should report to work. Non-essential personnel should not report to work. Again, the same goes as with the schools. We will determine whether we go open up on Tuesday by midday tomorrow. Our airport will remain open depending on conditions. If people have flights out of the airport, they should contact their carrier, such as Cape Air, and find out about the status of their flights. The city continues to distribute sandbags at its facility on Shawmut Avenue. I think it's 1150 Shawmut Avenue. People have been arriving today. Residents are allowed up to 10 sandbags. And if people think that they need additional sandbags, they should come on back. Trash service will be moved from a Monday to Friday schedule to a Wednesday to Sunday schedule. In other words, we will delay trash service by 2 days. The reason for this is that if people put out trash, it'll blow around. The trash itself might become projectiles, and in any event, it'll make a big mess. So we're going to push trash service off for 2 days. So if you have Monday trash service, it'll now be Wednesday. If you have Tuesday trash service, it'll be Thursday, and so forth. We are taking steps to secure historic properties. Our military museum in the south end has been boarded up and secured with sandbags. The First Baptist Church across the street from here, we're keeping an eye on, and we will cordon off the municipal parking lot. As I understand it, the steeple itself on the church is structurally sound, but we have had some issues with clapboards falling off, and so we want to make sure that the area around the church is off limits to people. Let me also note that, and this is something that's been asked about a number of times, and that's the status of Halloween. Far be it from me to want to cancel Halloween, but what we're going to do is to see how it goes. If by tomorrow it looks like there are down power lines and down trees and that it might be unsafe for kids to go out trick-or-treating on Wednesday, then we will postpone it until later in the week, so stay tuned on that. So let me go on now to talk about what residents should be doing. So unless you live in a low-lying area, you should stay home. If you leave your house, there's always a danger of being struck by flying objects. Many people who are injured or worse in hurricanes fall victim to having been hit by things flying in the air. So it's not just because it looks windy outside and there isn't anything visibly flying around doesn't mean that you're not taking a real risk by walking outside. So stay inside, stay away from windows for the same reason while you are home. The other reason is that our roads need to be cleared for emergency vehicles. We will have emergency management system vehicles pre-positioned in various parts of the city, the fire department, EMS, and so forth. Let me emphasize one thing. Do not go down to the water to watch the hurricane come in. That is about the last place you should be. If there's anything that's especially dangerous about this storm as opposed to others, it's the potential storm surge. The waves will be big, and they can be deceivingly big. If you're anywhere near the shore, you put yourself at risk, and the police will not let you stay there. So don't even think about doing that. Exercise a little bit of common sense. Look for updates on WBSM radio in particular here, but also go to the city's website, which has a hurricane preparedness checklist that you may want to review. The website is www.newbedford-ma.gov. And communicate. You need, let me give you a few numbers now. These are numbers I've given out before, but I think we need to make sure that that everybody has them. If you have a medical issue or you observe down wires, call 911. If you lose power, don't, and that's it, you've just lost power. Don't call 911, call NSTAR, which is 800-592-2000. If you have downed trees, the number to call is 508-991-6350. Actually, that's the police emergency line, right? 6350. That's the business line. What's the, where's Ken? 6133. So if you see downed trees, call 991, 508-991-6133. There are a handful of other things that I'd like to mention because they bear repeating and people need to know them. So make sure that your family is accounted for, including your elderly loved ones. Again, stay tuned to updates on radio and on the internet. Fuel up your car, buy batteries, buy water, keep an eye on your pets, bring them in. Bring in objects from your yard that might fly around. Furniture, Halloween decorations. You may want to, for some people living in certain parts of the city, disengage the downspouts that go into the city system because that forces more water into the city system. We're going to have a lot of rain. In addition to that, turn the thermostats up on your refrigerator and freezer in the event that we lose power for some time. That'll at least give you a little bit more time to keep food fresh. Make sure that you know where your emergency kit is. So that means your kit should include a flashlight, it should include bandages, it should include batteries. Make sure you have a radio that's battery operated. Take care of infant care items. Get cash from the ATM. If there's a power outage, we may lose access to ATMs. If you get water in your basement, don't go down there. And that's because with electrical systems in most basements, a flooded basement can mean the risk of electric shock. Call the non-emergency number that I just gave you, and we can deal with it that way. If you do evacuate, bring things like a blanket, eyeglasses, flashlights, medication, infant needs. And then let me just say, after the storm, make sure you avoid things like downed power lines, that you stay alert for for things like down trees that are near power lines where you can't really see the lines themselves. So I think people need to be cognizant of that. In general, and again, I wanted to emphasize that a little bit of common sense can go a long way. Don't take unnecessary risks. Make sure that you know where your loved ones are, and stay tuned for updates, because there will be updates. As for the next update that I will give the public, it'll be tomorrow at 2:30, right back here, and by then we should have answers to things like whether school will be out on Tuesday and whether city offices will be back open on Tuesday and so forth. So we'll make those decisions by then and let everybody know. Does anyone have any questions? We covered a lot of ground.
The floodgates, the hurricane barrier.
Yep.
Isn't that, as I recall, isn't that good for something like 18 feet of surge? I know the Army Corps of Engineers, I was just curious.
Do we know what the Jeff, do we know what the maximum capacity, flood capacity of the hurricane barrier is offhand?
22 feet.
It's 22 feet? It's 22 feet. Yeah, it's about close. Do you want to tell? Here, why don't you come on up here?
No, it's all, I was just curious, man.
No, that's all right. We're going to add one more thing. This is Jeff Steeb, who is our Harbor Development Director, about the floodgates. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. We just obtained some new information from the Army Corps and the Coast Guard. That's important for particularly the fishing community to know. There could be brief closures Sunday evening for routine purposes, tidal management purpose. If it closes Sunday night, it will reopen shortly thereafter, so it will be open this evening. But there could be a brief routine closure. We wouldn't want anyone to overreact. For the storm, the barrier could close, as earlier stated, close for the storm as early as 5 a.m. on Monday. Once closed, it could remain closed for the duration of the storm. Those factors are quite variable. However, it's not expected to close earlier than 5 a.m. Monday morning.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jeff.
Can you just clarify, so what happens Sunday night, the temporary closure, what's that all about?
The Army Corps routinely opens and closes the gates even in good weather for tidal management purposes, and that may be occurring Sunday evening. If they close it Sunday evening, it will be for those routine tidal management purposes, and it will reopen Sunday evening, and is expected to be open till 5 a.m. Monday morning.
Okay. All right, anybody else? Okay, thank you. So 2:30 tomorrow afternoon.